What if I told you that the best RPG you could play in 2026 came out in 2017? Not a remaster, not a sequel, not a live service game trying to milk your wallet. Just a 9-year-old game that still makes every other RPG feel like it's missing something. I'm talking about Divinity Original Sin 2. And if you've been sleeping on this one because you figured it's too old, too complex, or already replaced by Baldurs Gate 3, you are absolutely, completely wrong. And I'm going to spend the next 12 minutes proving it.
The world is called Rivellon, and right from the opening seconds, this game does something most RPGs are too scared to do. It makes you feel powerless. You are a sorcerer, not a hero, not chosen. You're a prisoner, someone who wields a mysterious power called Source, a form of magic drawn from the very soul of living things. And the Divine Order, the ruling religious authority of the land, wants every single one of you locked up, collared, and controlled. Why? Because creatures called Voidwoken, monsters from another dimension, are drawn to Source like moths to a flame. And every time a sorcerer uses their power, it tears the fabric of reality a little bit more. So the story begins on a prison ship, chains on your wrists, a suppression collar around your neck, and a world that hates your kind. You wash up on Fort Joy, a miserable island prison camp where sorcerers are stripped of their power and kept in squalor. And from that moment, the world opens up around you. The main narrative of Divinity Original Sin 2 is a race to ascend to godhood. The gods of Rivellon have gone silent. The previous divine, a man named Lucian, has died. And now the power vacuum has created the kind of chaos that tears civilizations apart. You and your companions aren't just trying to survive. You are each on your own path toward becoming the next divine. But here's the twist. Only one of you can. That tension between your party members, who are your allies but also your rivals, runs through every act of the game. It's dark, it's political, it's layered with ancient lore about a civilization called the Eternals, who existed long before humans, elves, dwarves, and lizards ever walked the earth. Is the story perfect? No. The final act has been criticized for feeling rushed, even in the definitive edition. Some characters get more narrative love than others, but the writing in the first 3 acts is genuinely brilliant, full of moments that surprise you, choices that sting, and lore that rewards the curious. This is a world worth exploring, and exploring it is exactly what you'll spend most of your time doing.
This is where Divinity Original Sin 2 does something truly special. When you start the game, you can create a fully custom character. Pick your race, your class, your background tags, but you can also play as one of 6 origin characters, each with their own personal story, unique dialogue, and quest lines woven deep into the main plot. There's Fane, an undead eternal, the last survivor of an ancient race that predates modern civilization, walking around in a mask pretending to be human. Sarcastic, dry, and carrying a lore bomb that recontextualizes the entire world the further you play. There's Lowe's, a cheerful performer, haunted by a demon that occasionally takes over her body and speaks things she didn't say. Ethan Ben Mezd, a mercenary, an ex-Divine Order soldier hired at the start of the game to assassinate someone in your party. Sibel, an elf assassin hunting the master who enslaved her, dealing with trauma by inflicting it on others. The Red Prince, a disgraced lizard aristocrat whose arrogance and entitlement make him both hilarious and unexpectedly compelling. And Beast, a dwarven rebel sailor who betrayed his own queen for principles he still struggles to articulate. Play any of them as your main character, and you unlock an entirely different perspective on every single event in the game. The same conversation, the same dungeon, the same choice. It feels different depending on who you are. And even when you don't play as them, having them in your party means they react to the world with their own voice, their own trauma, their own goals. This isn't a your choices matter checkbox. This is a game that genuinely built 6 different lenses to see its world through. Okay, this is the part where Divinity Original Sin 2 either wins you completely or loses you forever. The combat. It is turn-based, tactical, and unforgiving, especially early on. Each character gets a set of action points per turn. Move, attack, cast spells, use items. Every action costs points. Run out of points, your turn ends. Simple framework. Absolutely wild depth underneath. Here's what makes it special. The environment is a weapon. Cast a rain spell, now the ground is wet. Follow it up with a lightning bolt. The entire wet surface becomes electrified, stunning everyone standing on it. Your enemy, your own party, everyone. The game does not care who you are. Spill oil on the ground. Ignite it. Now there's a fire surface spreading across the battlefield. But wait, your necromancer raises a blood pool underneath it. Blood and fire mix into something catastrophically dangerous. Freeze a water surface to create ice. Shatter the ice with a physical attack. The frozen enemies shatter too. The battlefield is a canvas. Every fight is a physics sandbox where creativity is often more valuable than raw power. And it works in both directions. Enemies will do the same things to you. The AI is not stupid. It will absolutely teleport your mage off a cliff, electrify the ground you're standing on, or cast a charm spell on your strongest party member and make him attack your healer. There is also a 2 armor system, physical armor and magical armor, that makes combat require actual strategic thinking about which enemies to target and in what order. You can't just spam your best attacks. You need to plan. Is it hard? Yes, especially on Tactician difficulty, but on the default, Explorer or Classic modes, there's enough room to experiment and have fun without constantly reloading saves. And here's what keeps people coming back. The build variety is enormous. Warrior mage hybrids, necromancer tanks, summoners who conjure an entire army, stealth archers, lone wolf runs with just 2 characters who become god-tier powerhouses. Every playthrough can feel completely different. The combat in Divinity Original Sin 2 has a high skill ceiling. Mastering it feels genuinely earned.
Beyond the combat, Divinity Original Sin 2 is a game that rewards curiosity more than almost any other RPG. Loot barrels, dig up graves, pick up every book and read it. Talk to every NPC, even the chickens. Because yes, there is an elf who can commune with the chicken and learn things from it. Talk to the animals, use the Pet Pal talent, and the world gets twice as deep. The game has 4 acts, each set in a distinct region, from the sun-baked misery of Fort Joy to the sprawling mainland of Reaper's Coast, to the mystical Nameless Isle, to the gothic city of Arx. Each region is packed with quests that rarely feel like fetch errands. Most of them have multiple solutions. Most of them have consequences that echo later. You can talk your way through entire encounters. You can use teleportation to just skip sections entirely. You can even attempt to pickpocket every vendor you meet, getting into increasingly absurd situations. There's a Game Master mode where one player becomes the Dungeon Master and crafts custom adventures for the others. There's a full 4-player co-op campaign where you and 3 friends can play the entire story together and argue about every single decision, which is half the fun. The playtime on a first run? Easily 60 to 100 hours.
For a 9-year-old isometric RPG, Divinity Original Sin 2 still looks genuinely good. The art direction is rich and detailed. Lush forests, dark crypts, crumbling coastal cliffs. The character models are expressive enough for an isometric view. The spell effects, the fire, the lightning, the blood pools, are still visually satisfying. On PS5 and Xbox Series X at 60 frames per second, it feels noticeably tighter than it ever did on last-gen hardware. But the real star of the presentation is the music. Composer Borislav Slavov, who you might know now for his extraordinary work on Baldurs Gate 3, created something remarkable for Divinity Original Sin 2. The soundtrack was recorded with a live Hungarian orchestra, features over 42 tracks of more than 2 hours of music, and includes an adaptive system where the score shifts from major to minor keys as you approach danger. He composed individual themes for each of the 6 origin characters, with variations that evolve as their stories do. There's even a feature where you can choose from 4 different lead instruments, lute, cello, guitar, or piano, to personalize how the ambient exploration music sounds, as if the game wasn't already personal enough. The voice acting is strong across the board. Not every line is gold, but the origin characters in particular, especially Fane and Lowe's, are performed with genuine conviction.
Let's be honest about the rough edges. The learning curve is steep. If you're new to tactical RPGs, the first few hours can be overwhelming. The sheer number of skills, stats, ability schools, and crafting recipes is a lot to absorb. The early combat, especially on Fort Joy, can feel punishing before you understand the systems. The final act, Act 4, set in arcs, is widely agreed to be the weakest part of the game, even in the definitive edition. It feels rushed compared to the sprawling richness of Acts 1 through 3. Some quests feel unfinished. Some companion storylines get tied up too quickly. And while the story is compelling, the central narrative can sometimes get buried under all the side content. It's easy to forget what you're actually fighting for when you've spent 12 hours solving puzzles in Reaper's Coast. These are real complaints, but none of them break the game. They're bumps on a road that is otherwise extraordinary.
So, is Divinity Original Sin 2 worth playing in 2026? Not just worth it, it is essential. This is the game that Larian Studios built before they built Baldurs Gate 3. It's where they figured out how to give players genuine freedom. Not the illusion of it, but actual systemic, chaotic, delightful freedom. And while BG3 refined and polished that formula with a bigger budget and D&D's name on the box, DOS2 has something all its own. It's rougher, weirder, more willing to let you fail spectacularly. It trusts you more. The combat is one of the most creative turn-based systems ever designed. The characters are unforgettable. The world is deep and dark and strange. The music is one of the finest RPG soundtracks ever composed. And now, in 2026, you can play it on PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, or PC, in 60 frames per second, completely free if you already own it. It has over 158,000 reviews on Steam at 95%. Game Informer scored it a 9.75 out of 10. It won BAFTA for Best Multiplayer. It has been called, not unfairly, one of the greatest video games ever made. If you've played Baldur's Gate 3 and want to understand where that genius came from, this is it. If you've never played a tactical RPG before and want the best possible starting point, this is it. If you've already played it once and are wondering whether it's worth another run, it is. Pick a different origin